time to start. And welcome to What to Do About Moving That Major Over to a Career. I'm Donna Cooper. I'm the Associate Director in the Center for Career and Leadership Development. And I am excited about being one of the first sessions. You will be my guinea pigs. So everything I learn about technology, I'm going to give you total credit for. And hopefully I'll teach you some things today. If for any reason you have lots of questions that we don't get to in this session, my email is donna-cooper@utc.edu, and I love to talk to students. So you can send me an email with questions, thoughts, stay in touch even after this session. I love that. So we're going to get started, and Rob's already been my guinea pig to say he could see what I had up on the screen, so I don't have to ask that question. So learning how a major becomes a career. Well, you're doing one of the things today. You're participating in Mind the Gap, and we appreciate that. We have some goals for what our responsibility is to you. We want to give you information. We want to give you insights into your career and your professional development, because neither one stops at the point you declare a major. Neither one stops when you graduate. We want to have responses to your questions and give you examples of how the information that you get today could move you forward. And we love to watch you take your next steps. We love for them to be confident, and we'd love to see them happen for you. So when you're learning about your major, that's, you come to orientation and everybody goes, pick a major, pick a major. So for some, it's the academic courses that are going to lead to the diploma. How many hours do I need? What's it going to look like on that diploma? How's it going to read? And the goal is that the major will lead into your career or careers. Some people have lots of different ways they want to go. So the goal is to take it from I declared it to I'm working it. And the biggest criteria for that is you. It won't happen without you, and you're the person who gets to move it forward. But we also know that there's a lot of help along the way. There's research. If you say, I kind of have an idea, but I'm not sure, on our website, there is Focus 2. It's free. It's a test that asks you so many different questions that you'll start to see a picture taking shape. Not that it's the exact thing of what you should do, but it'll wake up some ideas that maybe you had in the future planning. It will wake up some ideas that you never thought of. And it'll say, you are indicating interest in this. Here's some jobs, here's some career clusters that fit that. So it starts to take your question mark and put some commas to it. We also have, what can I do with this major? That's also accessed through our website. And you'll see that I've got our email website, up there, www.utc.edu/Center for Career and Leadership Development. If you just put in career, you'll wind up at a bunch of places. We're the one with the long title and the wealth of information. So what can I do with this major says, here's what you could do in the private sector. Here's what you could do in the public sector, the government sector. Here's associations you could join. Even as a student, they have reduced rates when you decide to join some of these organizations. We also have the Occupational Outlook Handbook mentioned, which is put out by the U.S. Department of Labor. That is going to be very impartial. If insurance companies created a handbook on insurance, then of course the only occupation they'll talk about is insurance. But the U.S. Department of Labor talks about take a step to the left, take a step to the right. Here are other occupations that fit for the one that you're looking at. And then you could also look up what's the average salary. A lot of times people say, so how much can you earn? And it'll go into details. If you have this degree, you could earn this. If you live in this area of the country, you could earn this. If you are at this level of the occupation. So it has a lot of information to, again, help you to broaden this I declared a major. Also, we want you to network. We want you to tell people. If somebody says to you, so what are you doing at UTC? Barely making it is really not the answer we would like for you to give. Yeah, and if you're barely making it, please also tell somebody at UTC. We have so many resources for you. But when you say, this is my major, they might turn around and say, why? What led you to declare that? So you start talking about it, and that makes it more real. Let your professors know what your interests are. We had a student who was in biology who let a professor know what he was interested in. That professor was doing research. He got to help the professor. And when the professor went to present at a conference, guess what? Student was right there presenting too. I look at a lot of resumes. I can't tell you how awesome experiences outside of the classroom look on a resume. It says more than I learned. It says I practiced, I experienced. Go to campus and community events to engage with, and what I've got up there is like-minded persons. It doesn't mean they have to agree with you. It could mean they have the same interest. Say you're exercise science and you are curious about what would you need to have to down the road be a PT student or in that occupation. You might find that yoga is an event that teaches people about stretching and being more flexible, which could be very helpful, say, to someone who's had a car accident. So this is how it can all transfer around, get mixed in together, and give you a lot more information about that major than you ever knew. We want you to be purposeful. That could also be viewed as intentional. Conduct informational interviews. If you're interested in how does someone navigate when they are in such and such a position, as a student, you have a better chance of getting your foot in the door to ask that question. You could email someone and say, I would like to come and interview you. If it's a class assignment, all the better. You're taking care of two birds with one stone. So you could go and ask the questions. A good one to always ask is, what do you wish you had known when you were in college that would be beneficial to you in your occupation today? You will learn things that you couldn't pay for. Also, join an organization. It could be one that mirrors your interests, mirrors your goals. It could be one you've been curious about as related to your major. Stretch yourself and do it with a plan. Okay, so then we also want you to engage. Get an internship, perform a community service, volunteer. There's a category on resumes that I love that is called relevant experience. It does not have to be paid, but relevant to what it is you're looking for. So if you keep that in mind and you are intentional, purposeful, but you're also out there meeting people and having fun, that is going to be a great advertisement for you and your choice. The fact that you like what you're doing. You're not just going, okay, let's see, she said in that box I need to mark off community service. Well, I'm environmental science, so I guess if I go dig a hole and plant a tree, that'll fit. Well, not if you don't like getting dirty. Maybe you're more interested in air pollution. Maybe you're more interested in other aspects of environmental science. So check it out. UTC's always got a list of things that are going on. The community is always doing things. You never know who could be working beside you when you do that, who could also give you more information. You could be conducting that informational interview while you're doing the volunteer work. You could be making a contact just by talking about what you're interested in. And you don't have to have a plan. I'm going to do this in this many months. I'm going to do this in this many weeks. And by this date, I'll have this. No, I am excited about, and I'm learning everything I can. By the way, what do you do? Investment. I've kind of been talking about it all along. You want to make sure your efforts are moving you towards your career or towards the one you think you're interested in. And you want to see, what are you missing? What, for me, my career field did not start off with knowing how to do Zoom, but boy, COVID is helping me. I have learned how to do more things with the extra parts of the computer that I didn't even know I could do. And it makes me excited. I was watching that Kahoot thinking, I just signed up to do a presentation at a conference at the end of the month. Between now and then, somebody in my office is going to have to teach me about Kahoot. And since I know at least two of them are on this session with me, you've just got your challenge, because I can be challenging. So if the steps that you've taken move you in a totally unexpected direction, it's okay. You've learned something that tells you there's something else out there. It does not mean that your major is worthless. It does not mean that your time has been wasted. In fact, college is the place to be experiencing these things and the place to say, I need a minor in such and such. That's when you talk to your advisor. And I do have a philosophy that the career path is seldom straight. I don't think that everyone wakes up at birth and says, you know, I'm going to be a such and such. Now that you know that there are all kinds of steps you can take, you can apply those to the same new direction. So you rewind and you repeat. Now, because we don't want you to finish up any of these sessions and just go away and go, yeah, that's something I did way back in the beginning of 2021, but I haven't used a single thing I heard. I would like for you to, and you can put it in the chat, you could email it to me, to Mark, to Dr. Liddell, you could send it to Danny. All of us are in this office, this center, and all of us care about what you're doing and what you're thinking. In order to transfer my major to a career, I need first to, what would that be for you? Now, I'm going through these slides and then I'll click over to the chat. If I can figure out how to get out of screen share, it took me forever to learn screen share. Get out of screen share, I think I know how to do. But anyway, be thinking about how you would answer that. It's a way of setting a goal and a way of becoming more intentional. So with the other Mind the Gap sessions we have, some of the things I've touched on that might give you some more information, we have the Focus 2 assessment, using it to clarify career options. That's where you can dig deeper into the Focus 2. We have Gaining Real World Experience. That's where you could get some ideas on how do you do that reaching out. We have one on finding a mentor. What does a mentor look like for you? Or do you even know? What's the job description of a mentor, so to speak? Not that you pay them. They're very voluntary and can be one of the most valuable people in your life. I've been blessed to have several, and every single one I can show you how they pushed me out of a comfort zone and into something else, and that something else opened up a world I didn't even know existed. So they are the people that sometimes you grumble at while it's happening, but then you turn around years later. For me, it was even decades later that I turned around and said, thank you for not letting me stay shy. Also, we have understanding the path from entry-level work to the dream job. So those are sessions that are part of Mind the Gap that will kind of take this part of the slides and help you to learn a little more today. So I'm going to end that and the screen sharing and see if I get to come back to you. If not, I've got some coworkers. Nope, I'm back. I started to say I had coworkers on the line. I was going to make them take over for me. So, and Rob has put in the chat a shorter link to our website so that you can get to it with the things that I've talked about on the slide. Guys, do you have questions? Do you have thoughts? Has someone had an experience that they'd like to share with the others? And if you want to stay on the dark screen, we understand. Not everybody's beautiful at 10:15 in the morning. Thoughts, questions?
Donna, while our honored guests formulate their question or comment, I just wanted to share and maybe have you to reflect on it. So I started out at Auburn as a forestry major. I thought the idea of driving around in a truck and a plaid shirt with a dog named Buddy just sounded right to me. I mean, nothing about that sounds wrong, except for I had to take biology for science majors at 8 o'clock in the morning, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I learned real quick that I was not ready to write that check each morning to get to class. And so that turned into a number of different things. So I was a forestry major, then a political science major, and then I ended up with a bachelor's degree in religion. So help me understand how an academic major can maybe inform, or it can maybe color in a few pages in your coloring book, but it's not necessarily a direct connection or correlation to career work.
All I could think of when you were talking was, and now he mows the yard. So on the average, and parents kind of get scared when they hear this, but on the average, college students change their major 3 times. That doesn't mean that if you don't change it, something's wrong with you, but it could be that your major becomes a minor and a minor becomes a major. You change. We hope you do. We hope that the person who comes to the first day of orientation is not the person who graduates. I was going to be a librarian because I was painfully shy. Couldn't talk to people. This would be too many people for me, even on a Zoom. And, but in a library, we would either have the information or we wouldn't, and I'd be done with you. Also, I grew up around a lot of yelling, and you can't yell in a library. That's not allowed. So that was going to be my safe place to hide. And I had an advisor who said, I don't think so. He started putting me into things that, oh my goodness, if he told me ahead of time what he had planned, I would have had a heart attack or a panic attack. And now when we get to do orientation face-to-face, I talk to about 700 people in a room. So, but everything I studied, it helped to build me as a person. It helped me. I still love to read. I have been shushed in the library. I've been shushed at weddings. So you can tell the shyness changed thanks to college. But it's also a case of there was something about that first major that interested you, Rob. And I work with Rob, so I can tell a little more of the story. He is always learning. He's never stopped learning. I think that the initial biology degree was probably a little too specific for you. And, but he does love to analyze things, and he loves to read about them and research. So the research component has stayed. It's just gone in a different direction. The interest in the world around and the caring of the culture and the world around, that has stayed. The major did not stay. So if you've got, say, several things that you're interested in, sometimes our undeclared majors don't really know what to choose from because they have several things they like and they don't want to give up on them. That's where we come into play. We love to have those conversations. We love to see what could be put together to make that work. We had a student who was an accounting major and said, but I really like spy stuff. What can I do? Well, that student went on to do forensic accounting and later got a job with the FBI, doing spy stuff, but in a different way. So we love to hear, and I'm saying we because I know the folks I work with, we love to hear your dreams. We see where you are, we see the major you're looking at. We could be prone to saying, What led you to that major? And now is that major kind of pinching? Is there something else you found that you're interested in that you want to incorporate? That's when we would encourage again, go to organizations, talk to people. And if you're not comfortable talking to a lot of people, talk to one person. I would say find somebody you don't really know to talk to, which that would have terrified me as a college student, because it'd be like, what? Somebody I don't know. Sometimes the people we don't know see things in us that we didn't know were there. And that happened for me with my advisor. He said, I don't think so. And he would say, I want you to go do this. I would have done anything for that man. I can't swim. I'd have jumped in water for that man, because I trusted him. And so it's kind of like find somebody who's a little further down the road than you. Your roommates are great, but they're kind of where you are. Thoughts, questions while I've been talking? Okay, we have one in the chat. Order to change my major to a career, I first need to gain work experience in my fields. We have a session during Mind the Gap that's on transferable skills. So I would say if you want to be a doctor and you say, I want experience in my field, then I would say you could go check out working at one of the hospitals, which right now they're kind of iffy on hiring people. You could be a scribe, a medical scribe. You would get familiar, and we actually they post on our Handshake, the medical scribe folks. They post on Handshake when they have positions for scribes, and you can do it as a college student, and you're learning medical terminology, you're learning all different kinds of things from a different avenue rather than, well, if I want to be a surgeon, I need to be cutting somebody open. No, you don't. Please don't. I'm not encouraging that. Not yet. But it's a good thought that you want to gain work experience. There could be lots of experience out there that you don't know about. And guys, if you're not on Handshake, haven't set up a profile in Handshake, that's something you can also access through our website. And that gives you the opportunity to see what are employers looking for in college students. When you look at that, it's kind of like, I want to bake a cake and I'm missing an ingredient. So when you look at the job positions, you could say, I'm missing this ingredient. And then you can go out and get that ingredient. And you can find ways to get it so that you already know this is a key thing that they're going to look for. You're enhancing your major with taking the classes. Sometimes people don't have the actual experience, but they've taken a course in it, which tells the employer you're not going to have to explain the definition of that word. I know that word, but everybody has a learning curve with any job they come to. So there's nothing wrong with a learning curve. We all have that. Some of us have it every time technology is introduced. I learned about waiting rooms today, and I called a meeting room and totally confused the staff until they figured out what I was saying. So, it's okay. We hope you are always learning. And we love to be a part of that. That's why I was very excited about doing this particular program, because it's not always a straight shot. It's okay to wander. It's okay to experiment. It's okay to question. The more you ask, the more you tailor your career to what works for you. And a lot of people now are seeing careers change because of COVID. The people who didn't know how to do Zoom are learning. The people who needed to be in an office environment. My husband has been working from home since March 19th. And who would have known that you could put a newspaper together when everybody is not in the office, and he works for the newspaper. So the things we thought could only be done one way, the world has changed and shown us there's more than one way. And there's more than one way for you too. And there's lots of things out there. So according to the stopwatch, I have 5 minutes. Questions, thoughts? I'm not going to hold you hostage for 5 minutes, guys. I'm going to let you go have a break before the next session. It's okay, but I just don't want anyone to miss out on an opportunity if they had a question that was really nagging them right now. I appreciate you coming this morning. I'm excited.
Just real quick, Donna. So I think you've heard Donna say a lot about a lot. And what I want to, again, just to reemphasize is that Mind the Gap is supposed to be a kickstart. It's supposed to be an infomercial, if you will, about some of the things that we love to work with our students. So if you've got any questions, Lindsay Johnson is on this call. She works in our front end. She is our ambassador in a lot of ways for the center. So if you'd like to set up a one-on-one appointment, we've got a graduate assistant, we've got a couple of career peers, we've got a professional staff. If you'd like just to shoot the breeze with us, to bring your worst defined problem, we'd be honored to kind of come alongside and add some thinking to it. But we're here for you. It's the idea that for us to get to work is to get you to work. And so if we can help with that process, we'd be delighted to come alongside. So thank you again for being here. Our next session should begin promptly at 10:30. I think you've got your choice between Ashton Adams, our graduate assistant. She is a second semester, first year master's student in our industrial organizational psychology program. And she'll be talking about using the Focus 2 assessment. And then I'll be hosting a session on building out a job search checklist. So those are your options at 10:30. And I hope that this is working for you. And we're super glad that you've joined us again. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you guys.